So I decided I wanted to try cases. And, here I am. The Lord closed a lot of doors. Like I had opportunities I thought I was going to have and fell through.
Welcome to this episode of Bourbon and Proof, where we interview those who have been successful both law and life. We're here to get educated and entertained. We do so over a series of bourbons, whiskeys, ryes, sometimes scotches, right, Morrow?
Sometimes, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We're American, for God's sake.
Yeah, geez, here we go. Well, co-host Morrow Fiore, thank you for coming on, as always.
I'm here. I serve at your pleasure, Mr. Simon.
Okay, here we go. So, and we also are very honored to have Mr. Hunter Garnett on this episode. Hunter, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah. So we're
super excited.
We're going to start this off with a pour from, we're filming live in Birmingham, Alabama, at the Red River Distillery. And Hunter, the first pick we got for you is actually from Alabama. This is our first Alabama.
I think it's from Huntsville.
It is from Huntsville.
Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't had it though.
Yeah, this is a limited edition Irons One.
They spoke very highly of it at the ABC store we were at yesterday.
Yeah, we took picks up Linnell's here local in Birmingham, but we went through a lot of research. But this, they char this, they do an alligator char on this barrel. It kind of looks like a tire, because imagine an alligator skin that they do on this. And I'm very, very interested to have this one. But this is from is it your hometown? But it's where you are now.
Yeah, it's where I'm at now.
What's your hometown?
My hometown is a little farm town called Deadwood.
Danville?
Super small.
We have a Danville in California.
There's a Danville, California that's also a farm town.
Is it?
It's up in NorCal.
That's a healthy pour there, Mr. Simon. We got 2 more shows today.
We have a lot of time, but you advice. Hunter, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hunter, great to have you. It was nice to meet you and your lovely wife last night.
Yeah, she is lovely. This is good. I'm really...
Oh, wow.
I could drink that all day.
It is good. I'm taking one for the team here. I'm actually allergic to alcohol.
What?
Wow.
When I drink too much of it, it makes me throw up and I feel really bad the next day.
Yeah,
maybe that's what I've got. I just figured I just drank too much.
Well, you probably do, but you have that too. Now, man, we're excited to have you on, Hunter, because, for those of you watching or listening, Hunter's only 31 years old. I've reached out to Hunter for mentorship. Because I think he's mastered the art of being able to run a firm as a solo or small support with a lot of virtual assistants to get ground up cases, know what to do with them, has kind of figured this stuff out. Stuff that Mara and I've been in this game for a long time. And
yeah, that's what I admire about the young, not just young lawyers, just young business people, young entrepreneurs. They are so tech savvy now, everybody who's 25, 30 years old, they're so tech savvy, and they know how to make stuff so much more efficient than like when we were, I used to send letters and fax them to people when I started practicing law. Now, you probably don't even have a fact machine.
We do for medical records.
Yeah, so it's you got to, these young people, these young entrepreneurs have really learned how to take advantage of the technology.
Yeah. So Hunter, when you're in Huntsville now, but you weren't always, you never set yourself up to be a trial lawyer, an injury lawyer, right? Kind of what was that path like for you?
No, so I grew up on a small family farm. I was the oldest of 7. It wasn't a big enough farm for me to step into it and take it over and provide a living for myself. But that's all I ever wanted to do. The 2 things I was interested in is I wanted to be a farmer, or honestly, I felt called to the ministry for a while. And so all through college, I was kind of lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was dating my wife in Birmingham, and the head of my ag business department pulled me aside one day. His wife was a judge in Mississippi. And he said, "You should go to law school."
Wow.
I was like, "Well, I never thought about that."
How old were you at this point?
20. I was actually going to graduate undergrad a year early. And so I took the LSAT and I did okay. And I prayed about it and I really decided, listen, if this is meant to be, I need some doors to open, okay? And so I prayed about it, and if I could go to Birmingham, to Sanford, Cumberland School of Law, where my wife was an undergrad, and not pay anything, I would go, okay? Tall order. And so my grades weren't exceptional. My LSAT score was not that good. Wasn't looking realistic.
Join the club.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I appreciate about you guys. Not strike me as as stellar students.
My pedigree is nothing I'm going to be flashing around.
So I really did work hard to study for the LSAT. I took an extra semester and studied real hard, and I did well. And I went to Sanford, and they offered me 75%. I was like, no, listen, guys, it's got to be 100.
Wow.
And so they came back and said, we'll do 90. I was like, I still, I'm not coming. And so I'm working at my dad's lawnmower shop. I graduated a semester early. Law school's still 4 or 5 months away to start. I'm visiting my wife twice a month, and every time I would stop by the law school and just say hello. And one day I go by, and it's like the end of March.
Wow,
early
dude, you got to
April.
make a decision.
It's like the deadline, okay?
Oh my God.
And so I literally show up to tell them hey, I'm not coming. Just didn't want to string along. And the head of the recruiting department or whatever they're called, admissions, she said, hey, actually, there's a letter for you in my mailbox. It was going out today. Go open it. So I opened it. It was 100% scholarship. So I was like, okay. I kind of took that as a sign from the Lord. I'm supposed to go to law school. I had no idea.
You didn't think that the 90% was a sign?
No, it was still seriously, I just, it's I don't want to be a lawyer. Okay.
Oh.
And so getting to law school, I don't know any lawyers. I don't have any idea what I'm going to do. I don't really like the law school classes. I'm trying to figure out how am I going to use this to help people. I can't, it's not tangible to me. I can't use these cases to figure out how I'm going to apply this in the real world. And
Pearson versus Post cases about property and shit.
It's funny. So property and contracts I enjoyed because they had a bunch of farming cases in there. Okay. And so I would volunteer in every farming. I remember all the chicken cases, all the cow cases, all the corn cases.
Mara remembers all the banana peel slip cases.
I remember all the slip and falls on a banana. There was a banana peel case.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yes.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So I did at Cumberland. They had this really unique program where, as a first year law student, you can join the trial competition. And
First year?
First year.
Oh, that's good.
First year, second semester. And so I did it. A friend talked me into it, and he wanted to be a trial lawyer. That was the last thing I wanted to do. And after the first round, we swapped. He was like, I'm never trying another case again the rest of my life. He actually tried his first year trial last week. I need to talk to him about it. And I loved it. I was just like, man, this is what I'm cut out for. So I decided I wanted to try cases. And, here I am. The Lord closed a lot of doors. I had opportunities I thought I was going to have and fell through. I took a job in Huntsville, the personal injury firm. It was the last thing I thought I wanted to do. It was personal injury. And within a week, I figured out the Lord had been positioning me for this my whole life. And I love it. And I wake up every day really, really excited to go do what we get to do. It's incredible that they pay us to do this. Can you believe it?
Yeah, you get paid to do what you love. You do. When you get paid to do what you love to do, you've made it, right? And every day I wake up, same thing. I wake up. Brian talks about this all the time. We love waking up and just energized to work and help people. But when you were back doing trial ad, you were at Cumberland, right?
Yeah.
We've had a few other lawyers that are now teaching trial ad professors at Cumberland. Sarah Williams.
Yeah, Sarah Williams.
Ashley Pinehart.
Yep.
Do you know them?
Yeah, Sarah was my first trial team coach. I actually listened to her interview recently, and I disagree with some of the things that she said. I actually think I'm a very good dancer. But, different strokes for different folks.
They're the best dancers.
Yeah, think the best.
She just didn't appreciate the good old cowboy two-step.
There you go. And you're also known as the cowboy lawyer.
Yeah, cowboy lawyer, hometown lawyer. That's my...
in LA, believe it or not, we have a Cowboy Lawyers Association.
That's right. A lot of judges.
I should join it.
You actually should join it.
The thing about Los Angeles is big, right?
Yeah.
But once you get out of the metropolitan area, it's rural. It's in Malibu, where
Palos Verdes,
where in Malibu, where the Cowboy Lawyers are. Yeah. You could be in Montana and you wouldn't know, and you're 40 minutes from where the Lakers play,
That's awesome.
So it's crazy, even rural, and they have the Cowboy Lawyers out there that they go on rides and.
Yeah, we have a lot of our friends, because I live in Manhattan Beach and the South Bay, right a 20, 30-minute drive is where all the horse stables are up on the peninsula. So my wife's actually pressuring me because she wants to get her daughters into horse riding. And I'm kind of hesitant, more so because it's something else I have to do. We have a lot of activities.
It's dangerous too, horses.
That's what I told her. And her friend that wants to get her into it, she just told me, she's like, yeah, she fell off a horse, got a concussion. The doctor says she can't do X, Y, Z. I'm like,
yeah, it's dangerous.
I think it's kind of a sign for kids, but... I saw a picture of Hunter, and I want to drop this in this episode because I follow Hunter on LinkedIn. That's how I kind of met him and followed him. He's big on, teaching, but he posted a photo of him when he was 14 or 15 on a pony, or it was a horse.
It's pony.
It was a pony, and then him, the pony, full grown, and him. It's really
Well,
funny.
I'm like straddling the pony in both pictures, and like my feet are still on the ground, you know. And then what it was my grandpa's pony when I was a kid, and I bought him back last week. He's in my house now. His name's Greg. And,
But it wasn't Greg to start. What was the name before Greg?
Peanut.
Peanut.
Yeah, when my grandpa had him, it was Peanut, and when I sold him when my grandpa died, and now he's Greg. We're gonna stick with Greg though.
Greg.
I had a pony when I was a kid. Did I ever tell you?
Did
no.
I had a pony. My dad. I grew up in a kind of rural town outside of 30 miles from LA called Diamond Bar. It was kind of a.
There's no
rural place.
diamonds.
Yeah.
There's no diamonds there. A lot of Koreans, but no diamonds. That's for another show. But
Wait, start the story over again because you can't say shit like that. We're only 2 episodes in.
come on.
Start where you
I grew up in Diamond Bar, a very rural place.
There's no diamonds there.
Yeah, it's 30 miles from LA, but it's a rural place. Our house I grew up on was like on 3 acres, and we had a barn. And
Yeah.
my dad liked goats. So we had goats and chickens. My dad's from the mountains of Sicily. My dad was a Italian cowboy, I used to call him. He's from the mountains, so he thought he was still in Sicily. You know, we had goats and cat. We didn't have cows, but we had chickens, goats. And he bought me a pony when I was like 7. And the pony ate some plant. I think it's called oleander, and it died.
Wow.
But I guess it's poisonous. And I just remember going out in the backyard. I told my dad, "Where's my pony?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, he ran away." I was like, "What do you mean he ran away? Let's go find him," you know? So then my mom, who was much more direct than my dad, was like, "Just tell him it died." I was like, "Oh my God, if my pony died." Then my dad explained to me how it ate some plant that killed
I
it.
feel like this has a lot to do with like your origin story and why you're like who you are today was your pony dying.
And then my dad, being an Italian from the mountains, we had rabbits and chicken stuff, but my dad was eating these things.
Yeah.
He wasn't just, for the hell of it. So like I had this one white rabbit that had like the floppy ears. I love this rabbit, called him Floppy. One day Floppy was gone.
And when
I was like, "What happened to Floppy?" And my dad, it's like, "Oh, I made sausage." I was like, "You made sausage out of my rabbit?" So my dad would make his own sausage with like a wheel, like a.
See, I'm going to raise my kids just like my kids 50 years from now. I'm going to sit around and tell stories about me.
Wow.
Me feeding.
Well, I mean,
rabbits.
but it's tell a story because everybody sees lawyer and they see lawyer as like wearing sharp suit like we see on Suits, like literally, and they're doing these things that are in high rises. That's not anybody here, and it certainly ain't Hunter Garnett.
No.
So I mean, because you're a young man, so how did you go into this game like, F it, I'm just going to be myself and be who I am? How did that come about? And before we do that, I'm going to pour you your next one. This is your cowboy pour, my friend. We got one called Deadwood.
Okay.
Straight bourbon whiskey.
That's for me.
This is for you. And why did we pick this one for him, Morrow?
Well, it's Aces and Eights. It is on the label. Everyone knows Aces and Eights is the dead man's hand. Wild Bill Hickok got shot on Main Street in Deadwood in the back while playing poker, and he was holding Aces and Eights. And the cool thing about the story is that no one knows what the 5th card is. Everyone has an opinion, but no one knows what the 5th card is. But he had Aces and Eights. And have you ever been to Deadwood?
No.
I've been to Deadwood a couple times. And with my buddy Gary Dornick, one time we went to Deadwood. It's right outside of Sturgis, South Dakota, where we went to the motorcycle rally. It's about 20 minutes from Sturgis. But Deadwood, I always tell people, is like if you went to like Disneyland or something and you went to like the frontier town, like where they're trying to make a place look like an old West town, but it's actually real. It's like if you went to Deadwood today, it looks exactly like it did in the 1800s. It'll blow your mind. You should. If you're a cowboy, I can't believe you haven't been to Deadwood.
To go out there.
You have to go to Deadwood. It's like real cowboys. It's like you can go in there. They got old saloons. It's exactly how it existed. They have the bar where Wild Bill got shot. Still there, same way. It's open. You can go in there and have a drink. I went in there and had a drink.
That's awesome.
This is to the cowboy lawyer in Alabama, the
Cowboys.
hometown lawyer.
Cowboys and pony wranglers.
Yeah.
Pony wranglers.
I tell you what,
Bob, you are a pony wrangler, aren't you?
Yeah, that's what
Is
they used
that
to
one
call
of the
me.
nicknames they used to give you?
And the city of Pittsburgh, it's called me the pony wrangler.
Well, I actually had this idea when we were talking about your pony stories. You should get a pony, and then we will start a pony lawyers association. Yes, we'll be the founders.
I was really good in pony league for baseball. Those were like my heyday for.
I think I could handle a pony right now. I don't know about a horse, but I could definitely handle a pony.
That's actually when so my wife has ponies. We have ponies, right? Whenever I'm fighting a wild pony and it gets the best of me, that's when I know it's time to like get back in the gym. Like,
So, I mean, because I've talked to you a little bit about this, you know, where you want your firm to be, where you want to be in life, right? So where does Hunter Garnett 10 years from now, what does your life look like if you did it right?
man, I have no idea. I love what I do, and I could see myself cutting back to 30 hours a week and just kind of coasting, and really focusing on family and the stuff that's matters more than work, you know? On the other end of the spectrum, I could see myself having, you know, 5 times as many cases and 20 people in person and 50 people offshore. I have no idea right now.
Yeah, but your home life, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so my wife and I want to start having kids anytime. We're going to Europe.
5 o'clock.
No, we're going to Europe in April for most of the month.
You're going to do some practicing?
Yeah, we're going to practice a few times and then actually start, trying. And we're both 1 of 7. You know, I would love to have, honestly, whatever the Lord's will is for us. You and I have talked about this. Yep. I have 4 adopted siblings. I think that's
awesome.
what Bob and I actually originally connected over is blue collar background with adopted children. And there's a big need for adoption, especially in the South and through foster care specifically. And so my wife and I feel led to foster kids. And if the Lord, blesses us financially and lets us, adopt kids, I don't have a limit on how many, we could be sitting down 15 years from now and I might have 10 kids. Okay.
Wow.
But it's just kind of whatever. I'm open to whatever God has in store for me. Along the same lines, y'all know I'm really involved with Guatemala. We talked about that last night.
Yep.
Man, if the Lord calls me to Guatemala, I'm there. Okay. It's just not what I feel called to do right now. So 10 years from now, I might be doing a month in Guatemala, a month in Huntsville.
But how do you set because you've been very, very good at setting yourself up to have a support system at your firm that a lot are not in person so that you can do this, what's being called to you to actually do, right? The things that are still your passion, the things you want to do with your life. And I always tell people, lawyers come to me and they always ask me to help guide them. And the first question is always the same, what do you want to do? What actually fulfills you as a human being? And
I'm a slave to my passions, as I always say. Most of those are hanging out with my kids and eating, but other than that.
That's what you like.
And playing golf.
But that's what you do. But for you, it's, you're heavy about helping people and doing this mission work and helping people in Guatemala. So how are you able to, and I think you're the master of this, how are you able to, if you wanted to work 30 hours a week or 20 hours a week, how have you set yourself up at such a young age to do it?
So I'll be honest. I think one advantage I have is both my parents are small business owners, okay? And so I'm a natural entrepreneur. I've been around it. And so at a very young age, second, third year practice, I started listening to podcasts and listening to audiobooks and reading books on just the ways that you run a business because, we're trial lawyers, okay? We try cases. But trial lawyers are notorious for being
the
bad
worst
at business,
businessmen.
Okay, they're bad marketers.
We know
bad managers.
We know a lot of their bankrupt trial lawyers that had some of the biggest verdicts ever. Just have no
idea.
Some
amazing trial lawyers, but they don't know they could run a business.
Yeah.
And so, and even there's some that have a firm and have a business, but they are leaving nickels, dimes, quarters on the table all the time because they just don't have good business sense. And so I started to develop that early on and started figuring out how to get cases. From a business perspective rather than just through getting big verdicts, okay? Because that's the thing is you got to have some, typically, which you did it young, but most of the time, at least in the South, you got to have some gray hair to really get referrals from other lawyers.
Or to even get that trial experience.
Yeah, you got to have some verdicts under your belt before you have any clout. And so, getting cases are king. You got to have cases. And the next thing you have to have is some systems and processes, which I hate. I do not like I'm serious. I hate having to do it, but sometimes you just have to, there's certain things you have to grind on. And then training your folks and trusting your folks and delegating things. And so one little kind of practical thing that I do is we do a quadrant. All my high level, mid-level people, we do a quadrant at least once a quarter where we track our time for a week. And we set silent alarms and we write down what we're doing every hour on the hour for a week. Okay. and we sit down at the end of the week and we all look at it together and we find things that the quadrant is, here's the things that we're good at and we enjoy, here's the things that we hate and we're not really that good at, we could teach somebody else to do. And we try to get everything out of that lower right quadrant and put it on, somebody else that has a lower cost associated with their employment.
And is that how you work in your virtual assistants to try to fill those gaps for the lower quadrant?
Yes, and so we hire a lot of
It's like John Wooden's pyramid of success kind of thing.
Yeah, and I've been a big believer. Like I always tell people, if you're not doing the stuff that you love to do and outsourcing or finding ways to like delegate those other things, like what are you doing? I know so many lawyers get lost in the muck and they're living in that lower quadrant. Wow,
and it's sad. Like.
And employees, I mean, they got to evolve too.
I guarantee you, everybody that ever listens to this as a paralegal, if you go to your paralegal and you say, what's bogging you down? Like, what do you hate? Mm-hmm. What can I do to make your job better and more enjoyable? They will have a list of things that you'll look at it and you'll say, like why the heck is anybody doing this? Yeah. I didn't even know we had to do this. And you can find somebody in Latin America, the Philippines, for $5 to $8 an hour that will do that and they will excel at it. And they'll be thankful that you gave them the opportunity to do it.
And that's 2 to 3 times the money that they're making now in those areas and gives them higher quality of life.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Okay, I have friends of mine who do the virtual stuff. They have employees in the Philippines, employees in Honduras, El Salvador. And, they talk about how I have these people that work for $5 an hour. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like boasting or bragging about. They do this for $5. But so sometimes I feel, because I don't have any virtual assistants, I feel like, oh, wow, they're taking advantage of them. But in reality, they would be making like $1 an hour, right? So you're not taking advantage of them, you're actually giving them a tremendous opportunity.
But have you ever had, because I know you do a lot of work with the Colombian lawyers and assistants and stuff like that, have you ever even offered them to bring them in-house to Alabama?
Yeah, so I've actually got American citizens that work for me in Mexico. Okay, they could come to Huntsville and work in my office, and I've offered this, and I would pay them 3 times as much money, pay their travel to come here. They stay, come and go as they please, and they would rather make $200 a week in their little town in Mexico where they are, upper middle class, than come to Huntsville and make $15 an hour and be lower middle class. And I don't blame them. But even another example, I've got this exceptional paralegal. She found me on LinkedIn, and she
she didn't find you on LinkedIn. That was intentional.
I attracted her on LinkedIn. I do put myself out there on LinkedIn. I try to show who I am, and part of that is to attract talent, and it worked. And so her name is Andrea. If anybody poaches her, I will burn her house down. Okay?
And we have a couple fixers on the show with you here that will make sure that happens.
Don't worry, I have some Sicilian friends that can take care of you.
So anyway, Andrea reached out to me and sent a really nice message about she appreciated my content and she could tell that I cared about the folks that worked for me and asked for a job. I didn't need anybody at the time, but I interviewed her. It's actually funny. My first interview was on my cell phone on horseback, kind of riding through the woods.
Of course you were.
I'm like, okay, I like this.
This guy is so authentic.
Oh, I know.
It's not. If you didn't know him, you'd think he's full of shit, but he's authentic, man. It's real.
And so I hired her, and she is so exceptional. I mean, she is just, she's one of the most valuable members of my team. And I've offered her, she got her visa denied recently. Her family's here. She's Venezuelan, and she practices in Colombia. And so I told her, I said, well, why don't you apply? I'll help you apply for a skilled labor visa. You can come to Huntsville and work in my office full time. I'll pay you, more than market rate here. It was, $75,000 to $90,000 a year job, which is, 2.5 to 3 times what she makes in Colombia. And she doesn't want to come because she understands that the cost of living would not offset. I'd have to pay her $200,000 a year for it to be a wash in terms of cost of living.
Yeah. So, then you're just, have you had any, we were talking last night, here in Birmingham at Red River, and there's one individual that I think he's in Mexico, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's outside of Monterey, Julio.
Yeah. And your walks on how you've changed these people's lives.
Yeah. So Julio will always be super special to me. We talk almost every day. Half the time we're talking about playing pickup basketball. He's like 5'10", which he's like a 4 or 5 in Mexico. He's the big guy.
You know, so I was I'm 5'11". I was 5'11" when I was in 3rd grade. So I only know the 4 or 5. So I only know post moves. They never taught me how to dribble. So if we play right now, I would clear you the fuck out, just so you know. But don't make.
Let's see. We'll find a goal. We'll find a goal.
I was always a shooter. I'm a shooter.
He does a good set shot. Actually, he has a basketball court at his house in the Hollywood Hills. I went there and I dominated these fools, and I never left the ground.
You know, actually, this evening, this is our first week of the year. There's a bunch of lawyers and judges and some kind of other professionals that play 3-on-3 outdoor, and like I'm going straight from here to.
So
there.
we're gonna do our last 4 because before you tell the
I do want
story,
to tell you about Julio though.
well, we're gonna talk about Julio while we do this because this is why Morrow selected this for you. This is William Dalton out of Indiana.
This is from French Lick, Indiana.
That's right.
And, you know, I'm an older guy, even though amazingly I look so young.
Yeah.
But I am 50 fucking years old.
Not yet. By the time this airs,
50 in May. So when I was a kid, Larry Bird was a basketball player.
Heard of him.
And this is, you heard him. And this is from French Lick, Indiana. They used to call Bird the hick from French Lick. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm born and raised in LA. I'm a Laker fan. We used to go watch. I used to go watch Magic and Kareem and James Worthy, Big Game James play, and then I was watching Kobe and Shaq and everything. And I've seen Bird play a few times in person. And I don't care what anyone says about basketball players. I've seen this motherfucker Bird in person. He had the nastiest, weirdest moves no one will ever have again. Bird would. You'd be like, you'd see him, and then he would have this weird drop step, and next thing you know, he was already running down the court because he already scored. And I used to see it at the Forum, and I'd be like, what the fuck is this guy? You know, Bird was like
talking shit the whole time.
Yeah, and talking, never stopped talking. But Bird had moves that would blow your mind. You know what I mean? If you see the shit on Instagram now, in person, it was even more amazing. But he stand flat-footed too. Didn't even get off the ground 1 inch. It was amazing. So Bird was amazing. He was the hick from French Lick. So you're our basketball playing lawyer from Alabama. So we got this French Lick, Indiana bourbon. It's supposed to be amazing. They talked it up. It's a wheated bourbon, which is like a...
This is bottle and bond too.
Wheated is like a Pappy Van Winkle is a wheated bourbon. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's got a little Pappy in it. Who knows?
How long does it take y'all to buy all the bottles when y'all do this kind of stuff?
So we went to Linnell's here in Birmingham yesterday, and we bought a lot of these bottles. You know, we just try to do stuff for different stories for guests, and we saw these ones. We said these are definitely picks for Hunter because we can help storytell with you.
Yeah.
But cool. You know, you were talking last night about it and how you're supposed to, as a lawyer, you're supposed to get on the golf course. You're supposed to do deals, and that's just the way that it is.
Yeah,
I believe in that.
Well, it's because you golf. I don't golf so much, but Hunter makes his show on the court. So this is to doing shit differently.
You know,
a little spicy.
It is a little spicy.
This one's pretty good.
Okay, before we talk about
the
100 proof.
Yeah, we're gonna Julio to basketball, but yeah.
Easy transition because Julio loves basketball.
Mm-hmm. But he's only 5'10", so don't talk shit on small guys.
Yeah, well, but
how tall are you, by the way?
I'm like 6'4", some change maybe.
The cowboy hat, you're like 6'7".
If you were in Monterey though, your post moves
6'7" with it, like Fletch, 6'7" with the effort.
Yeah, right here. This
Fletch is still one of the best movies ever.
If you were in Monterey, Mexico, your post moves would crush it. You know, because you'd be playing, smaller people.
Yeah. No, I appreciate playing taller folks because they don't appreciate the game.
You know, so I'm proud of this. I've got a mini farm now, but I've still got my farm strength. And so pound for pound, you and I would be, our game is probably similar. I don't have a lot of skill. It's all just grit and leverage.
So I grew up in the city part of Pittsburgh. Well, we have to go out to the country. These motherfuckers, the farm kids would throw us around.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. And my dad,
I mean, they're strong.
And look, I remember rolling up for a game. My dad was always our coach, and he demanded to see their birth certificates. These kids were huge. He's like, "What oats you feeding these boys?"
Yeah, corn-fed.
Corn-fed. But it was funny because they're
like,
big.
Yeah, this kid's 9. He's like 160.
Yeah, but they were, and I was always the biggest kid in our league, and it was like, oh my god, this kid's twice my size, but they were still kids.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like they didn't have adult strength yet.
Yeah.
But so I mean, walk us through. So you have Julio, who's
Julio was my second VA, and he's actually my paralegal who's been with my law partner for 24 years.
Wow.
They're first cousins, okay? And he got deported a long time ago for like something petty. I mean, just like, DUI or possession of marijuana, just like something that you and I would spend a night in jail and pay $1,000 and we're
But they probably wouldn't even detain us.
Maybe not. And so anyways,
I've been detained, believe it or not.
Well, yeah, we know you probably have time served.
I was about to say,
Well,
This does not surprise us.
I have what they call a sealed record.
And he also is hairless like a seal, so it has a double entendre.
It's funny. So we are tinkering in the VA space, and my paralegal tells me about Julio. And we hire him, and he's working at the time, driving a cab, making
Where is he geographically? Mexico?
He's outside of Monterrey, Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's by Chihuahua up there, not too far from the border.
But when was this? So
This was July of 22. It's like 6 months after I
Not that
started
long
practice.
You know, Chris Galindo's from Monterey.
Oh yeah, he's
Mexico.
in Houston now,
No,
right?
Chris Galindo's a lawyer in Houston. He's from Monterey, Mexico.
But but this wasn't too long ago. But like the VA virtual assistant world has been, a lot of other industries have been using this for a long time.
Yeah.
But how did you? I mean, because to me, like I reached out for you to ask you questions about this world because it seems like you've understood it for a long time. But I just want you to tell our listeners and viewers of how Julio came to be and then where he is today.
So he's, like I said, he's my paralegal's first cousin, and he grew up in the U.S. He came here when he was 4 years old. He's deported when he's like 30 for something just minor, just nothing. And he's in Mexico and has to like restart his life, okay? And he doesn't have a skill set to make a living in Mexico. He's literally driving a cab, okay? He's making $150, $175 on a really good week working 100 hours, okay? So we bought him a computer, sent him a computer, bought him a headset, bought him 2 monitors, and put him to work as he actually, this is when I kicked off my PFAS campaign in Decatur, and he was my intake.
What does that mean?
Well, so this is the forever chemicals that are all over the news, PFOA, PFOS.
Nick Rowley tries those cases and hits big verdicts all over the country. You know,
They're going to
Nick
be.
Rowley's a buddy of ours.
They're going to be. I mean, they're going to bankrupt some companies. But my home county, Decatur, is the county seat, and the largest manufacturer of PFAS in the world, Decatur 3M, is located there. And so I found out just coincidentally, I'm like reading the news. I'm like, oh, what are forever chemicals? And I look them up, and I think like, well, are these in Decatur? And I look up and like, we're like the hotbed. And so this is before the science has evolved to where it is today. I remember thinking like, there's a case here. And so I ran a lead gen campaign on Facebook and got 100, 200 leads. Shout out Ethan Allstroff for helping me with that and kicking that off.
I love Ethan.
Ethan's great.
So when you did those lead gen campaigns, was it you doing selfie videos?
Yeah, like super simple, like seriously.
This fascinates me because he's generating a lot of.
It was like at my desk and literally.
He's a handsome man, for God's sake.
That's part of it. I didn't even have a cowboy hat on.
Yeah, he's a handsome man. If I did a lead gen campaign with this face, I'd be like bragging about I got 3 leads.
I'll be your spokesperson. Yeah, it's literally like if you or a loved one have a serious medical condition, it may be related to the water. Click the link below for more information. I'm like, that's it. You know, and we have since then we've expanded our creative. We do some more educational stuff. But anyway, so we run that campaign. It crushes it. You know, I'm paying Ethan, working with Ethan, and I realized like if I had Julio or somebody in house, like I could do everything myself, and like me and Ethan take care of each other. It's cool. And so that's what Julio did like the first 2 months, and he crushed it. We've had 1,500 roughly. I haven't looked in 2 months, but we probably had 1,800 leads come in since we started this campaign. Julio's talked to every single person, qualified them, and converted all but 2 or 3 leads that we wanted. Yeah, crushed it. He's got a great personality, perfect English. If you call my office right now, you would never, other than us talking about this, you'd think he's in Huntsville sitting with me. And so he earned my trust through all that. And now he still does that on the side when we run lead gen campaigns. We take some stuff off his plate so we can focus on that. But he's a case manager, and he manages we call it our district court division is 20,000 and below cases and clear policy limits cases. And he runs them autonomously. We meet once a week for 30 minutes to talk through the case, the things that he wants to talk to me about, set values on cases. I look at all his cases once a month to just make sure everything's moving along. And like he runs autonomously. And honestly, that the 25,000 and below cases that he handles is more profitable than any other team or division that we have in my firm once you account for attorney time and things like that. And since then, we've grown a ton. We've got Colombian attorneys that are case managers for us and legal assistants. We also have, I really believe, the skill set that's the hardest to find in Latin America is perfect English without an accent where you call and you don't know you're talking to somebody in another country. And so when I find somebody like that, I hire them. Yeah. And I just train them and I see what their ceiling is and we see where they go. And I've got one young man, I actually fired him a year ago. He's Julio's nephew. And he does typical kid stuff. He's 20 years old. He just wasn't mature enough. I didn't have the systems in place to really help him grow. And I just fired him and I told him, I was like, you need to go wait tables for 6 months. And you're eligible for rehire, but you got to go figure out that this was a good job and a good opportunity that you almost, if I was not a nice person, it would have slipped by. And he contacted me about 3 or 4 months ago and said, hey, I could really use a job. I've been grinding and life is hard. And I realized, okay, he's learned his lesson. I had Andrea at this point, and she's an exceptional trainer. And I asked Andrea if she needed another assistant, wanted somebody to train, and she said yes. And so he's back with us. And his ceiling, there's
no ceiling, probably.
There's no ceiling. He's as bright as we are. He speaks perfect English. He speaks Spanish.
So you spent the time to train your staff, even people that are thousands of miles away. And there's a lot of lawyers that they don't do that. They don't take the time to even ask that quadrant question. There's no quadrant question for them.
I think you have to think about your time. How do you compound your time? Okay.
How do you scale your time?
We can go try a case. We can go take a depot, and that's probably the best use of our time is taking a doctor's depot in that one time. But I'm 31 years old, okay? I don't care how much money I make next year or the year after or this year. I care about 10, 15, 20 years from now. I care about getting things off my plate that cause me headaches. And so I look at my training as an investment that compounds over time, okay?
I wish nobody fucking talks like this, man. Nobody even thinks about these things.
Here's the thing, I think it's Albert Einstein or somebody talks about compounding interest being one of those 7 wonders of the world. It applies to everything. It applies to relationships. When I'm intentional with you and we develop trust, this trust doesn't degrade over time. It only grows. It only snowballs. And the same thing applies to relationships with your team and the way you train your team and clients. If I was 55, 60 years old, I would run my firm totally differently, okay? But because I'm young and because the fruits of my labor are going to pay dividends for 30 years or more.
It's like our own crops, man.
It's farming, yes.
So we do a lot of analogies with that too, even though I've never farmed shit.
I'll teach you how to farm.
Dude, I would actually
I used to grow radishes and jalapenos.
Never grow. Get the fuck out of here. You just make shit up.
I grew radishes and jalapenos when I was a kid, and them fuckers were good. We used to make salsa.
But I want to go back. So, we're going to end this show in just a little bit, but I just want to take one little quick detour to talk about your calling to almost be to go into the church full time.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that.
So, because what we do as trial lawyers, some of the best verdicts I ever had, we talked to the jury afterwards, and some of the jurors said, especially in conservative venues, have said, I felt like Mr. Simon was speaking the gospel. And I make a point when I'm in a more conservative venue is I don't do the theatrics of getting in front of the jury. I take the podium and I use it as if I am in church.
Interesting.
So, but I've never tested this theory before, but every time I do it, because in federal court, they don't let you leave the podium. And I did this once in San Bernardino, and I intentionally picked a more conservative jury because of the way the case was.
Now, you don't think that using that type of ministry, gospel, or
but it's not intentional.
Does you lose credibility with the jury?
But you're not doing it intentionally. It's just you're sitting. But to them, it looks like the same when you're at church. And for me, I first did it in federal court because they didn't let you leave. You can't be within but the judge said you can't leave with an arm's length of it. Seriously, I could not do it. So I just sat there, and instead of doing my normal stuff on the jury, I just sat there and I talked like this, and this is the way that it is. And it for some reason, it slowed me down. So for some lawyers, they always teach you, do your shit your way, but I felt something while I was doing it that way. And one of the jurors, and she was like the the GOP, she was 80 years old and she was the leader of her women's GOP in San Bernardino. And I picked her on the jury of the defense, like, she crazy. She gave us her biggest verdict. And she came up to me with her pearls afterwards and she said, "Thank you, Mr. Simon. You spoke to me." So Hunter, I mean, you come off as the most genuine person we probably have ever had on the show. Like, no BS. This is who you are, what you speak. And let's talk about a little bit about the gospel and the calling that you almost picked over being a trial lawyer and how that works now.
Well, so first, like that means a lot to me.
Mm.
Like, I could cry right now. That means so much to me because I really, like, I worry. You mentioned something earlier about, like, there could be people that see what I talk about and think it's fake or a brand or whatever. And, like, listen, I wear my cowboy hat a little more when I'm around guys like you, but, like, this is who I am. And I think that's really the secret to even trying cases and resonating with people as being who you are, okay? And so who I am, I'm a follower of Christ. I'm a child of God, first and foremost, okay? My faith is more important to me than my wife, my future children, my friends, my job, my clients, like everything else, okay? It's God's will. I never in a million years thought I would be a personal injury lawyer in Huntsville, Alabama. It just wasn't on my radar at all. And I insinuated this or mentioned this earlier that I felt led to the ministry for a long time, okay? I spent 2 months in Serbia on a mission trip. I've been to Guatemala a bunch of times. My wife and I give generously to Guatemala. But I realized I had a client. So one of my first workers' comp cases, my favorite case I've ever handled. She had a really hard case. And at the end of her case, I'm sliding her workers' comp check across the table to her. And I'm apologetic because in Alabama in workers' comp, you don't get what your case is worth, okay, in terms of what you've actually lost. And so I'm sliding the check across to her and I'm just apologizing. I'm so sorry. Like, this is a great outcome. I promise you that I've done the best job that I could. I don't think any lawyer could have done a better job, but this is what it is. And she looked at me and she said, "I'm glad that I got hurt in this accident." I was like, "Well, like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why are you glad? You're crippled." And she told me, it was very, very nice. This is my first Hispanic client as well. She said, "Before I got hurt, I had all these friends. We would go out and get margaritas. We'd go to, dancing and all this kind of stuff. And one by one, they stopped coming to my house after my accident because I can't leave my house. And I lost all those friends. And there was one friend that actually not only stuck with me, but actually became a closer friend because she would come to my house. She would spend time with me. She would, help take care of me. And she asked her friend, she said, "Why are you here? Like, I can't, I'm not the same person I was before." And her friend explained that it was her relationship with Christ. She was there because it's what God calls us to do as followers of Christ. And my client, who had grown up kind of like a cultural Catholic, realized that she was missing. This lady had something that my client did not have. And my client right then felt called to the Lord and had a personal relationship with Christ that she'd never had before. And she explained all this to me, and I'm just like, dude, I'm losing it, okay? Because I had never, I'm a Christian, I'm a devout follower of Christ, and I never even talked to her about this. And I realized then, there's a chapter in the Bible, it's John 9, and what it is it's when Jesus heals a blind man. He puts mud on his eyes and gives him sight again. And this is kind of the preface to it, and I'm paraphrasing a lot, but basically the disciples are around Jesus and they're like, "Jesus, why is this guy, why was he born blind? Was it something his parents did, his grandparents did?" Because back then in the Old Testament, they believed that, everything that was wrong in your life was a product of bad decisions or your parents' bad decisions. And Jesus said, "No, he was born this way so that I could show good works through him." Okay. And I use John 9 now in my practice all the time. Okay. And listen, we serve a sovereign God. God understands what we're going through. There's trials and tribulations that he allows to be placed in our life, that here on this earth, sometimes we understand it, like my client. Sometimes we don't. When we represent parents who have lost children, it's a really hard conversation to have. But I tell you all that to say, I realized when I got into my practice, I live in the mission field. My work is my mission place. My clients are my the people that I'm led to disciple. And so it's the most rewarding part of my practice, and I have the opportunity to disciple my employees, to help them grow closer to Christ. I have the opportunity to disciple colleagues in my community. I lead a Bible study every Tuesday for young lawyers in Huntsville. And then my clients, we have the unique opportunity where when people come into our office, they're going through the hardest thing they've ever dealt with most of the time. They've lost a loved one. They've lost the ability to provide for their family. They've had some type of catastrophe enter their lives. And we get to be not just a legal counselor, but a spiritual counselor too.
You know, as the book of Isaiah says, come let us reason together. I start a lot of my closing arguments like that.
Do you?
I do. And now,
like
Hunter, Garnett, this is
You know what, Mark? I've seen a million closing arguments as a trial lawyer. I'm a student of the game, right? I go watch and whatever. Do you think that people lose credibility with juries when they come out with stuff like that?
It depends on who you are and if you're credible or not.
Or the one that I've seen
it depends if
1 million times. They come out and they say, Martin Luther King said,
yeah, you can't
injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And that's the one that every trial lawyer throws out at every closing argument. I think
when you see it looks fake, it looks fake. But if people really believe it,
I start feeling this guy's full of shit.
But if people believe it,
Dr. King, and
it depends if they were there for the huge. If you're there for the whole trial, that's who people really are, and it resonates. I don't do those for every trial. It just depends on how I feel. Sometimes I'm quoting Ronald Reagan, right? But sometimes it just depends. But I almost always start that way, and I learned that from Panish. I stole his shit. Brian, I'm not paying you royalties. Stop asking, but I do that one for you. But this is now your selection process, Hunter, because we're at the end of this show, and you have to pick your bourbon of proof, and you got to pick which one speaks to you the most and why.
I got an easy choice.
Really?
Okay. Yes. Clear choice, taste, and everything was top notch. One of my brands, cowboy lawyer stuff. Like I do hold myself out as a cowboy lawyer because I am a cowboy lawyer. But I identify even more as the hometown lawyer, and the hometown lawyer chooses the hometown whiskey. Easy choice.
From Huntsville.
Irons One from Huntsville, yeah.
This is very good.
And it was
the best.
Wonderful drink.
Yeah.
I am a little biased because it's from Huntsville, but I did think it was the most.
These were all. We've had a good. This was a good whiskey show. So, to you, Hunter Garnett, too. I'm a recovering Catholic. I'm a Christian, and thank you for coming on this show. This was a very spiritual episode for us, man.
I appreciate y'all having me.
I appreciate you coming on, man. To Hunter Garnett.
Thank you, my friend.
Absolutely.